let's do tax calculator. We want to do tax calculator. So when we are working on this, there are things that we will use that we might not have mentioned. If we get there, then I will explain the function and what it does. Okay. So we want to create a tax calculator. Okay. So when you want to calculate a tax, you want to know the percentage that is need to be charged. So the first you define the tax percentage. Text percentage, you put an input field where you will collect this value. So let's reload this. Yep, looks decent, the design. If I put, the next one is the salary. How much are you earning? If we, now it's going straight, we want it down. So we're going to wrap each element on a div. Right, so if we run this, we get it a nicely laid out column. What's this? I think JavaScript. I need to comment this. Okay. So the design is not of much importance right now. So we're not going to do much about the design for now. And we're going to put a button here. And this button will say calculate. So there you go. That is our tax calculator. Okay. So the most important thing here is the functionality, not the design. So I'm not going to care much about the design for now. So what we want this tax calculator to do is we pass in how many percentage of tax that we are being charged in the country that we are on. Then you put in how much salary are you earning. Then when you press calculate, it gives you your net income, which is your take home after tax. So we have to put in where to receive the value here to say your net income, which will be read only. Okay. So if you see this, you can't type on this one. So this one will be calculated. Only this one you can change. The styling is really coming in nice. Let's do something about this. So let's give it a margin of 10 pixels. Okay. So looks better. Okay. So this is read only. Only these two values you can enter. And then we'll press calculate. It's going to calculate this value for us. All right. So that is the tax we are about to program right now. Okay. So how do you go about something like this? we have taught us some events like on click. For example, for this calculate, we are going to have on click here, and we want to trigger calculate tax. Want to do this calculate tax. Okay, and we can decide we want to use JavaScript to do all this, but we can also put it in here. There's no problem. Okay, so for the tax percentage, we want to call a function on here on change. This is an input field. An input field have an event called on change. On change means when the value changes, it triggers this function. Okay, once it calls this function, we want it to call change percentage. That's the name of the function we want it to call. Take note, I did not put parentheses. When you don't put parentheses, JavaScript is going to call this function anyways, and it's going to pass it the event that is triggered. So when we write this function, I will explain more. Then the salary will take the same event on change, and in this place is change salary. Okay, and the net income is read only. So this is going to, when you calculate, it's going to inject the value into this input field, and thereby we need to give it an ID so that we can be able to locate it from our JavaScript. So we'll call it net income. All right, so that is all we need in our HTML. Everything we need in our HTML is ready to run. So the first thing we want to do is change percentage. Okay, so we go to our JavaScript file. We define function change percentage. Now remember, I told you that JavaScript will trigger this and it will pass it the event that occurred. So this event will be the first parameter. So if we do, in order to extract the value that was entered here, the value will be in, let's console log it so you see what's going on. The value will be in event.target.value. Event.target.value. That is how you will extract the value from this input field. So if we run this, now you see that our console have nothing. So if we change our percentage, let's see. This is the one that has the unchange. Change percentage. Sometimes fishing. So that's not the event I need, but yeah, it will also do the job. But in this case, it triggers only when you leave the page. So which is not what I really want. There is on key down. On key down. Yep, on key down or on key up. On key up triggers anytime you press your key in your keyboard and you releases it, it will be triggered. So that one seems to be more like what I need. Okay. Yeah, when you are writing in this place, you always have to call this. You always have to call the function, invoke the function yourself here. So when I pass this, I'm passing the current element into it, okay? So that is why you see here, cannot read property undefined value, reading value, because it's not an event, okay? We will treat the other one later. It's when you are accessing it from the JavaScript, that is when you get this event. So now this is the element that is clicked. So we can, if we dump this into your keyboard, you see that this is HTML input element that is passed to it. So with this, we can get dot value. You see that? See? So because you see that we can enter string here and we only need numbers, by the way. So let's fix that. You go to your HTML and you put in this type, then you put number. We only want number. So if we run this again, you will see alphabet cannot be entered anymore, but numbers, okay? So we do the same for salary. And this one doesn't need, since nobody is typing into it. So change salary will be the same. You invoke the function and pass in the current element into it. This is easier, okay? The event trigger that passes the event is when you have it in your JS and some other third-party libraries like React, which if we happen to learn them, we'll see how this works. All right. So now we successfully get our value in here. So what we need to do now is to define our tax percentage, and we put it to 0 from the beginning. Then when this is changed, we want to override. Remember, when you want to override, you use let. So we change our tax percentage equals to the, this is not really the event, but an element, okay? So you say element dot value or input, whichever you want to call it. And we can make another function which is supposed to be change salary. Change salary, we do the same here. Salary, make it 0 from the beginning. And when this function is fired, it is going to override the salary with the current value. All right. So if we run this, we will not see what is changing because we are not logging anything. Okay, so when we click on calculate, you see our calculate tax function is not defined yet. So let's define that. Calculate tax. We don't need any parameter. So when you call calculate tax, we want to get our tax percentage divided by 100 times the salary that you earn. This will be the tax. The tax to be deducted, okay? So the net income will be salary minus tax. Okay, so this is how you get net income. Now we can console log this to make sure our calculation is correct, is coming in rightly. Okay, if you run this, we put in 24% in salary of 50K. Okay, and if you calculate this, you see your take home becomes 38,000. After you have paid tax, let's log what our tax is. Our tax value is tax. Okay, so if you run this, put in 23% of 50,000, you get 38,500 and 11,500 tax. Okay, so this value is what we want to plug in here, not the tax. The value, that is your net income. That's what we want to put. You can decide also to display the tax value and what the net income will be. You can decide to do that, but let's display the net income first. So remember that we have our inputs, and we have it here, read-only, but with ID net income, okay? So we can access that in our JavaScript using what we already know. So const input equals to document get element by ID, and we pass in the net income, and we want to set this input, we want to set the value. Okay, we want to set the value to this net income. All right, so let's test that and see if I'm correct. So 20% of 20,000, and you see 16,000 is your net income, and you pay 4,000 of tax. All right, so this is our mini project that I want to show us how to do today. Do we have any question?
Yeah. This dot value, this dot value, that dot value, is it a keyword or is it a variable there?
So the value is a property of this object. I hope it's this one you're talking about, right?
Yes.
So like what we did before, you see here, I search for the input element using the ID, right? And I come here and I say input.value. So I am accessing the attribute of that object, of the HTML input element. Input element has value. And let's say you want to set default value for all this. Remember, when I run this, they all come blank. They all come empty. So if I decide to add a default value, you see, I put in the value attributes, and I can put in anything I want there.
Okay.
If I run this now, it will give me 23. So this is the value that we are accessing.
Okay.
There, okay?
Yeah.
All right, any other question?
No.
All right, so take note, as I define this variable, I didn't define this variable inside the function, and I didn't pass any of this variable as the parameter of the function, but I was able to reference the value from inside the function. All right, so it is because this is global to these functions. So when you define things on the outer scope, it's called global variables. So it can be referenced in any function, is accessible in any function. But you see this one I defined here, this input variable is only visible to this function. It's not visible outside. So this is local variable. This is global variable. I want you to take note of that, okay? All right. If we understand what is done here, then I think it's time for us to take our assignments. Okay. Okay, so we are on task. Are you saying something? Task 20. Okay. All right.
Let's see mistakes like this one.
Asne.
All right. I want you to develop a calculator. Yes. An online calculator. Don't bother about the styling for now. Just have something decent like this. Don't waste much time on the styling. What we care about is interaction with JavaScript. So you know how your calculator is. You know what a calculator is, okay? So I expect to see one input field. Let me see if I can. Is there any calculator I can show you? Only. I just need remember this one is a read-only field, okay? That shows value I want to display to the user. So you see how your normal calculator is, it has 1, 2, 3 on or up to 9 and 0. Then you have the plus, minus, times, and divide. Then you should have an input field whereby you display the numbers that is being pressed by the user. So if the user press 1, 1, 2, you should show 1, 2 in the display field. So then if they press plus and press another number, you should just show the latest one that they are pressing after the plus. So it's not that you should show the whole display. Or if you want to also, you can also show the whole display depending on your choice. So you show the whole display, say 12 plus 3, then if they press equal to, you replace that stuff with the value. That is the result of the summation of both, okay? So it's a simple calculator. So develop a simple calculator.